back, and then just turn back. You got it.
I come for see my friends for a little conversation because I usually live myself. This is a very good place for me. I a little increase my language skills.
See the people and socialize more. I have autism. It gets me out and talking more to people and that sort of thing.
Have the day off, visiting, coming for coffee, socialize. Helping Hands is definitely has a community that I enjoy being around. That there's acceptance. Anybody can come. There's no obligation, no requirements, just to be around family of the street.
You're making a meaningful difference in so many people's lives, so I just want to present this to you on behalf of the house.
The hard things are definitely the homeless people. Like I see people digging through the trash. I see them bumming for change. They're just struggling to survive on the street.
Yeah.
There's not many options. There's not a whole lot of places that they can go to. So Helping Hands tends to be an anchor in these communities.
Yeah.
So I see that they use this to offset some of the hardships.
Yeah.
A lot of the businesses don't want them around. A lot of the citizens don't want them around. And so like the addicts, the working girls, the homeless, even just the people that don't have a job.
It's no secret that Barton Street has struggled in many complex ways for many years. Yet something we've noticed is that there's so much vibrance here. In order for us to continue to be on Barton Street in an intentional way, we need to understand the formation of the Barton Village and how it became the place so full of both complex issues and tenacious hope. Alice and I decided that the best place would be to go to the Central Public Library, to the archives section, to get some historical perspective. So we see this like history from like the 20s to the 60s, where people are like, oh, Barton Street is so beautiful. It's such a wonderful place to live. There's all these trees, there's boulevards, da 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 da. And then all of a sudden, this hockey team, and they basically label Barton Street as one of the toughest streets in Canada. And this is in 1974.
Yeah, and it says they're afraid to come.
Yeah, it actually gets mentioned like throughout like this entire book.
Oh, yeah.
And it like starts, this is like the start of this like twist of all of a sudden going from Barton Street is like this beautiful business space, and it's like, it's a change from like 1964 to 1974.
Yeah.
It's like something in those 10 years just shifts, and instead of people being like, oh, it's such a beautiful place to be, it's growing so much, it turns into like, this is a dangerous place, you shouldn't go there. This is another article. That comes up so much in the future. So this is an article called "I Survived Our Toughest Street," and it's by Tammy Pakin. She references this like hockey team, and she's just like, they made it out to seem as though Barton Street is too dangerous for them to come and play hockey on. So I'm actually going to go out alone by myself for a night and walk Barton Street and see what trouble I can get into. And so she writes this article about her doing that. And it's really fascinating because she finds no problems. And she's like, she feels totally safe, and she feels like people in the neighborhood have her back, and that like, she actually feels like cared for by the neighborhood.
Which overall is our experience as well, right?
Yeah.
Like when we are really in community on Barton Street at Helping Hands,
Yeah.
because I often get people asking me as well, right? Oh, Barton Street, is that, where you actually, right? People understand that there's work there, but within community, people have our back, right?
Yeah.
We're there together.
There's definitely ways that we're struggling, but this is a community that really deeply cares for one another and deeply cares about their place. that has carried on from the 70s till now.
Yeah.
Like that is such a theme of what Barton Street is. They talk about how interesting it is that like James Street and Ottawa Street run north to south and they're both thriving, but we don't really have any streets similar to that like commercial business area east to west. Yeah. And so like that's a wondering of why Barton Street feels like left behind, because people are instead using it to travel between points instead of as like a business area itself. It was so bright at the beginning, and then from like the 60s on, it just like it feels like it's working so hard to try and like make its way back to that, but it just never quite does. Yeah. This article is very similar to a lot of the other ones where it talks about like it's really struggling, but we have a lot of hope for our place, which is like a theme for like 50 years on Barton Street is like, yeah, we're having a hard time, but it used to be so great and it can be great again. And they're working just really hard to like change the narrative of Barton Street, which I think seems to be one of Barton Street's like biggest hurdles is like this narrative.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about so much.
Which the first part that we saw was when that coach created that narrative, and then in other spaces, whenever in the news or whatever there's these like negative narratives put in, it just kind of like knocks it all back down. So as we are here, we find ourselves in this place. How do we lean in? What are the things that would be best for our community? What are the right questions for us to ask of each other as well as of our people, the community members that come to help use the friends? What are those questions that we can ask that'll help us to know, what is it? What's next? In order to do any kind of dreaming about what helping hands should be and thinking through what we are and stuff like that, we do need to make sure that we are clear on what the mission, vision, and values of helping hands are. So maintain and strengthen is kind of one of the main pillars, one of the 3 pillars. Maintaining what we have here, strengthening the things, the programs, things like that we have here. That was a big pillar of what we were doing these 3 years. Also, always need to make sure that we maintain and strengthen in a relationship-based kind of outlook on things. So again, that's why we call all the people that come here our friends, right? It's not client-focused, it's relationship-focused. And then asset-based, which means bringing up the assets that we see around us, looking for the assets that we see around us, not necessarily always coming in with our own ideas of what needs to happen here in this space, but really seeking out the assets that are already here and helping to draw them out. And one of our values is each person has something to contribute and is needed in community, right? And that's where that asset-based conversation really is. And another pillar is grow. It's not just maintaining and strengthening, but always also looking to what else, right? What more? The third pillar was dreaming, which meant the board was kind of giving us permission to think about what next. As we grow, obviously, you kind of grow out of a space, right? So this pillar really gave us permission to start thinking about a larger and better equipped facility. How are we feeling the limitations of our space? If you think of all these things that we do, that we talk about as being so important, what are just some examples of how you feel like we're feeling tight?
Accessibility.
Accessibility is a good one. Door width. Door placement.
The weight of the doors.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like we have the ramp and Winnie can't go up the ramp. And over right. Like also our ramp kind of sucks. That's just a side thing. But like, we have one ramp.
Even just like the size of like our walkway in front of our building is so difficult and narrow for people to navigate. Barely a sidewalk.
And we know because we spent a lot of COVID on the sidewalk.
Yeah, our friends who hang out up there, like there's a lot of friends who don't like coming into our space either for like anxiety reasons or just because they like being outside.
Yeah. Or they're smoking.
But they're also also a lot of smoking happens. Yeah.
So that's really what we're focusing on today, is that kind of dreaming section. We're gonna, like celebrate some of the maintain and strengthen and talk about the growth for sure, the growth that's happened over the past 3 years, but also dreaming towards what next. But in all of that dreaming, we need to remember our mission, vision, and values.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Good.
Should we go to 541?
Sure, sounds like a good idea. There's always someone, you know.
Yeah.
They know like their thing is and our thing is not. But we have like a clothing bank at Helping Hands. The idea we already have. It's not right. Like we have newcomers that come to Helping Hands.
Well, I get excited about making things that are gonna make like Samantha's job easier and like
I mean, Helping Hands has been around for 20 years and has been building trust for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that this is all new, but we're kind of feeling the impact of that now.
Yeah.
The city of Hamilton, we just talked about that, right? We're dealing with 3 different crises at the same time, 3 states of emergencies. So things definitely have gotten worse in the last while, but at the same time as well, the other reason I think why we're seeing more people at Helping Hands is because people just are hearing more about us.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, right? Like it's of course it makes my heart sad to know that the need is greater, but it makes my heart happy to know that it's been a 20-year presence here and we're feeling the
roots.
Yeah, exactly. And people are like, yes, they've been here for 20 years. We can actually trust that they'll continue to be here. They're not running away anytime soon. And that's what we find with a lot of things. It takes a while to build trust, but now we've got it, right?
Yeah.
And so we're definitely seeing larger numbers of people coming just for a cup of coffee to enjoy
each other's
friendship.
presence.
Yeah. It is still a place
That's
that
really
people call
important.
home, that people know that they can receive community, they know they can receive physical support as it's needed, and they know that they can have those deeper spiritual conversations as well.
Yeah.
So we're having more of all of that, and it's exciting. As much as it's sad too that it's needed, it's exciting that we're there and that people realize that we're there for it.
I think too, I wonder often if more people would sit and enjoy coffee if we just had more space for them to sit and enjoy the coffee.
A lot of the people that come to Helping Hands are on ODSP, right? Which means they're dealing with a disability of some kind, and it's not all physical disabilities, but there's a significant number of people dealing with some kind of physical disability.
Yeah.
And whether that means they're actually literally in a walker or a mobility device of some kind. Or they're just unstable on their legs and things like that. We thankfully haven't had many falls, but at the same time, we have a lot of space restriction.
It's even hard for people to hold the door open for one another, which is just seems silly. And it's heavy and all of this thing. And then our bathroom situation is so difficult.
Yeah,
because
it's a huge need, right?
Huge need.
There aren't a lot of public washrooms in the neighborhood, and when you have to go, you got to go, right? Like we all have that. Yeah. But having to go up 4
or 5 stairs, and like in a very narrow space and hallway, and then again like another door that's like it's not heavy, but it's not light, and it's not an automatic door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like very limiting space, and we're growing so much. We are definitely limited by renting a space, and especially the space that we're in right now, because we can't change a lot of things. We can't change how easy it is to use the bathrooms. We can't change how narrow the hallways are. We can't change how heavy the door is, or the fact that it's like a step up and we need a ramp. We can't make the space in front of Helping Hands like different or bigger. We can't do that. And that's just like all really big difficulties that limit us being able to grow at all.
Yeah, I would agree. There's just, as much as we're working with what we've had and we've been blessed with a space for these 20 years that has been beautiful, and we've made do with it, and our friends feel safe in it, in order for us to grow and to be able to support our people, our community in the best way possible, we really do need a new space.
Yeah, a bigger space.
A bigger space. There just is no two ways about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if this is your first time being at a Helping Hands Gala, put up your hands. Look at that, beautiful, awesome.
Our staff and volunteers want to be able to offer a safe and accessible space for all. Our friends want to be able to safely enter our store and cafe. They want to be able to enjoy community there. They need to be able to safely use facilities that are otherwise very difficult to access in our neighborhood. So we're dreaming of a new space on Barton Street, where we will be able to meet our community's needs of a larger and better equipped facility with laundry, washrooms, kitchen, large group indoor space and outdoor space. Also accessible space that meets accessibility needs for both friends, volunteers, and staff. Today we are officially at this gala announcing that we're giving notice that we're calling out for a new space on Barton Street because our community deserves better.
Would you like a sleeve for your cup? No, thank you. All right. Thank you very much.